Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show as we have a lot to get into in the world of Southern California sports, as the Chargers unfortunately fell short again as they fell to a late field goal by the Lions. This week they are on the road against Green Bay, and the Rams are back at it as they host the Seattle Seahawks. Are the Rams' playoff hopes hanging by a thread, or do they still have enough in the tank to make one last playoff push? And every Division I college football team from Southern California lost. USC lost to Oregon, UCLA disappointed against Arizona State, San Diego State absolutely disappointed as they are not bowling this year. Heck, Cal Poly and San Diego even lost. The good news is that UC Irvine had some good positives in the world of college sports as their women's soccer team pulled off a big upset in the first round of the NCAA Women's Soccer Tournament, and their men's basketball team upset USC. What happened to those Trojans? Were they just all talk and no show? Also, the Lakers have had their ups and downs. They had a really good win over Memphis, and then followed that up with a terrible loss to Sacramento, and the Clippers are just straight up struggling. Is James Harden just washed up, or can the Clippers actually figure it out? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, Thursday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 156 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be live without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on, formerly known as Twitter, X, Instagram, and on TikTok at IE Sports Radio. We also have a Facebook page. All you just have to do is type in the word IE Sports and then radio, like us, and then boom, that's how you're able to follow us on Facebook. We also have a daily updated website, www.iesportsradio.com, for all your sports news, our blog, a Hall of Fame, a Fan of the Month, a page dedicated to each podcast, such as this one, a community forum, a merchandise shop, and much more. Because for the past 9 years and counting, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Huge shout to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, it's low in sugar and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on, and all you have to do is visit www.planetjerky.net and place your order. And from what I have seen on the website, and I can confirm this, some of their prices have been slashed. Some of their prices have gone from $15 all the way down to $10, and some of their 7-ounce bags have gone from $20 to down to like, or actually I think the 7-ounce bags have gone from like $30 all the way down to $20. So get them while they're cheap. They make for a good holiday gift, and I highly, highly, highly recommend all of their flavors, whether it's the Carolina Reaper, the Ghost Pepper, the sweet teriyaki, the classic barbecue. The list goes on and on. I highly recommend Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. And I might get some once I get some more money. Once again, a huge shout to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. The jerky that is on a whole other planet. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is by following it on X at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, Teran Rodriguez, mainly on X at Teran Rodriguez 1. I am also available on Instagram, but I don't really use that. I only use that mainly for Set Point, but this isn't Set Point. Alright, let's begin. So Jen B and Patty Bax are in the chat room. They say have a great show, and Patty says have an awesome show. Thank you, Jen and Patty. Alright, so let's begin with the Chargers just because the Rams were on bye. And alright, this game was an exciting game between the Chargers and the Lions. And I had a feeling it was going to go down to the wire, just because the Lions are indeed a good team, and I had a feeling this was going to be one of those high-scoring affairs. Unfortunately for the Chargers, their defense just did not bother to show up. The only good thing about the Chargers' defense was that the Chargers had forced a turnover on downs after Justin Herbert threw an interception. And I can only imagine what could have happened if Justin Herbert did not throw that pick. But I digress. So for the Chargers, it was a great game, but unfortunately, like I said, the defense just was not there. The run defense was so horrible. I just don't understand how the Chargers can function against a team like Detroit. Detroit is just such a really good team. They have so much firepower. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown catching balls from a revived Jared Goff. They had David Montgomery. They had Jahmyr Gibbs. The Chargers just could not stop anything. And I was very surprised the Chargers even had a sack on... Oh no, they didn't even have a sack on Jared Goff. That's the sad thing. The Chargers had not one sack, and they didn't even force a turnover. So that's the disappointing thing about the Chargers. They got no sacks, and I don't even think they even got any pressures or anything on Jared Goff. And they didn't force any turnovers. So that's the sad thing about the Chargers' defense. They just didn't get any pressure on Jared Goff, and they were lucky to even force a 3-and-out. And I think maybe the only 3-and-out that they forced was maybe in the second half. But in the end, the Chargers' offense, they did all that they could to keep up with the Lions' offense. Justin Herbert, everyone criticizes Justin Herbert, saying the lights just, whenever the lights are bright, they just are too bright for him. But the dude threw for 4 touchdowns. He overcame that one interception, and he threw for 323 yards. Yes, Jared Goff threw for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Herbert threw for 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards, which I think is only the 4th time that's happened. And the dude got Keenan Allen involved. He got Austin Eckler involved. The dude got practically everybody involved. He even got Jalen Guyton involved, and he had his first touchdown of the season. Heck, he even got Quentin Johnston his first touchdown catch. So it's not like Justin Herbert wasn't trying. It's not like the Chargers' offense wasn't trying. It's the defense that was just straight up being so terrible. It's like the Chargers' run defense was reverting to last year and the year before and the year before. So it's just so frustrating when you're allowing over 500 yards of offense to one of the better teams. And if you're going to contend in the AFC, you have to beat teams like the Lions. And the Lions, if they were in the AFC, they would probably be maybe first in the AFC standings. And it's just frustrating. And it's just really frustrating. And I could see why the Lions did beat the Chiefs, even though they only beat them by 1, but I digress. So, all in all for the Chargers, it's just a very frustrating game, and this falls on Brandon Staley. I know some people are saying Justin Herbert's got to throw for more yards, but what does he got to do more? He threw for 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards. What does he have to do? Throw for 6 touchdowns and 600 yards? He can't do more than he has to. And it doesn't help that his offensive line practically collapsed against him. It just doesn't help, dude. So it's not all on Herb. The dude can only do so much, and he can't just play Superman practically every game. The defense has to do their part. And he's lucky he didn't get sacked as well. So I just don't understand why people still have to criticize Justin Herbert. If anything, the Chargers have so much firepower on defense, like Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Tuli Tuipulotu, Khalil Mack. But the thing that the Chargers forgot to realize is that they're not playing the Chicago Bears or the New York Jets. They're playing an actual offense that could put up more than, 20 points per game. Like the Lions in their games, if you look at their games, they put up 26 against the Raiders. I know they had that dud game against the Ravens. We could throw that game away because the Ravens are actually legit. They put 20 against the Bucs, even though the Bucs are a semi-legit opponent. They put 42 on the Panthers. That's kind of expected. They put 34 on the Packers on the road. That's expected. 20 on the Falcons, even though the Falcons have a decent defense. 31 against the Seahawks in a loss, and they put 21 on the Chiefs on the road against Kansas City. So, all in all for the Chiefs, or all in all for the Lions, it just doesn't make any sense how you're able to give up 41. Like, the 41 points is the second highest that the Lions have scored all year. And I know the Chargers don't have the best cornerbacks, but honestly, who does have the best cornerbacks? And Colin Cowherd actually made a great point. And I know people don't agree with Colin Cowherd, and I know people call Colin Cowherd Colin Cowturd, but no team has the best corners in the game. No one can really replicate Richard Sherman or anything of that sort. And Jen B in the chat room says it best. I don't understand how that defense performs so poorly. It's crazy. Well, I don't understand either. Just because you have some of the best pass rushers and one of the better safeties in the league. So it just boggles my mind. But this all falls on Brandon Staley, who does call the defensive plays, and he is a defensive-minded coach. So at what point do we all have to start pointing the finger at Brandon Staley? Because the dude basically is not a defensive guru, and everyone has chewed him out, and everyone has defended him, and I've basically given him chances. I've basically done all I can to basically not want him to get fired, and heck, I don't even want him to get fired. Looking at it, I would not want to see coaches get fired, because looking at it, coaches have kids. They have lives too. They want to feed their families because they don't want to be unemployed. And that's something Colin Cowherd also mentioned in his little rant when he said Brandon Staley is holding back the Chargers, and it's really sad because I think he makes a good point. But at the same time, you don't want to waste Justin Herbert's career like the Chargers did with Phillip Rivers and Dan Fouts. It just can't work that way. You have your offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, and now I start to wonder if he can be the guy going forward, and maybe Tom Telesco and Dean Spano should maybe reevaluate Brandon Staley at the end of the year if Brandon Staley has a losing record and the Chargers fail to make the playoffs. So I just really have to wonder, is Brandon Staley the problem? Because the Chargers can put up points whenever they wish. They have the offensive firepower. They have a really outstanding quarterback. Is he top 10? Of course he is. Does he sometimes make mistakes? Absolutely. And the Lions defense is pretty solid. They can sometimes get to Justin Herbert. They have Aiden Hutchinson, just to name a few, and they have a few other players, just to name one. And he was lucky just to throw one interception. But honestly, and he has all the offensive help he needs. He has Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. He could have had Mike Williams if he didn't get hurt against Minnesota. And he could have had Joshua Palmer if he didn't get hurt against, I think it was Kansas City or Dallas. And Jalen Guyton, he's also solid as well. Once he gets back to full form, he's getting back to full form eventually. So, the offense is not the problem. The defense is the major problem. And whether the Chargers decide to to keep Brandon Staley or not. They need to get an actual defensive coordinator to call the plays, just because Brandon Staley is not cutting it. So for the Chargers, their next game is this Sunday as they head down to the land of the cheese to take on Green Bay. They have to head down to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. All right, so Green Bay is an interesting opponent. I'm going to, and believe it or not, I'm actually going to be a guest on our Green Bay show Big Cheese Sports with Bernie Bango this Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Central Time. So I just want to give that plug right there as well. But I'll be with Bernie previewing that game. But here's the thing about the Chargers taking on the Packers. This is kind of must win, because if the Chargers lose this one, I think their playoff hopes are pretty much done. Because looking at their schedule, it's so tough to predict which games are winnable and which games aren't. Because the Packers could be a win, but at the same time, it could be a loss just because you never know with playing in Lambeau, and I don't know how cold it's going to be. I imagine it's going to be 48. Oh, it says there's going to be like rain. Ugh. I hope that's not the case. But then again, Justin Herbert has played in rain, whether it was at Oregon or in Washington. Yeah, but back to the Chargers. Looking at their schedule, they got the Packers this week. They're home against the Ravens next week for a primetime matchup against Baltimore. They've got New England, which Bill Belichick has owned the Chargers in the past. They're home against Denver after that. Broncos are starting to play better. Then they've got a quick turnaround on Thursday against Raiders. And they're starting to play better with Antonio Pierce. Then they've got the Bills, which could be an all-or-nothing game, just because the Bills are kind of in no man's land. They're kind of in survival mode. And then after the Bills, they've got the Broncos game at Denver, which the Chargers have really struggled in Denver. And then the last game of the season is home against Kansas City. But that is all going to depend on if the if the Chiefs have locked up a playoff spot, or if they've locked up the number 1 seed. If the Chiefs have not locked up the number 1 seed, then expect all the stars to play. But if the Chiefs have locked up the number 1 seed, then expect not one starter to be out there, or not a whole lot of their stars to be out there for only one quarter. But looking at Green Bay versus the Chargers, I really think the Chargers can win this game. But if they think they're just going to walk into Lambeau Field and the Packers are going to hand them a win on a silver platter with crackers and a glass of wine, they're sadly mistaken. I think the Chargers are winning this one, but they really have to cross their T's and dot their I's. I have them winning 28-20. I think that sounds like a respectable score, and here's the reason why. I think the Chargers get back to form here. I think it might be a little close in the first half, but I think Justin Herbert finds his mojo. I think the defense has a little bit of a bounce-back game. I think they get to Jordan Love sooner rather than later. And I think that's kind of a little motivational factor for Justin Herbert. He doesn't want to lose to a quarterback that was selected in the second round. That cannot happen. Or I don't know what pick Jordan Love was selected in. I think he was selected in the later rounds. But that would just be demoralizing just to lose to Jordan Love. It would just not be good times, honestly. And Patty says it should be a good game. And Drewski pops in the chat room. He says, "Have a great show." Hey, thanks, brother. And I hope it's a good game because the Chargers have to win this game. If they lose this game, they can kiss the playoffs goodbye. I just don't see how they win that game. They make the playoffs following that loss, because if they can't win that game, they're not winning against the Ravens. And they can certainly kiss beating the Broncos or the Raiders or goodbye as well, and maybe the Bills as well. So Jen B says it's a late first round pick. So I think you're right, Jen, and yeah, I think Jordan Love is a late first round pick, and I will just double check that, just to make sure, but he was a pick from he was the 26th pick, and yeah, that is correct. Yeah, he was the first round pick, 26th pick, and I still just don't believe. I will still, to this day, never forget. I still will not, to this day, understand why the Packers selected Jordan Love. But I guess this is the reason why. They want Jordan Love to fulfill Aaron Rodgers. But I guess this is the reason why. Anyway, but that is that for the Chargers. That's them in a nutshell right there. All right, so as I mentioned in my intro, every team from Southern California lost. And if you've been following the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on X, I've been ranting and raving saying that every team from Southern California, whether it's college, in Division I, or in the NFL, they all lost. Except for the Rams. The Rams actually did not play last week as they were on a bye. Thank goodness we could not deal with that team embarrassing themselves. As the Rams, they host Seattle this week. All right, here's the thing. This is round 2 between the Seahawks and the Rams. If you all remember round 1, that was forever ago. That was all the way back in week 1 where the Rams stomped all over Seattle, winning 30-13. Now, the Rams host the Seahawks at SoFi Stadium. I'm very surprised Seattle is only a 1-point favorite. I want to say the Rams could win this game, but I just don't think the Rams can win this one. I think it's going to be close. I think the Rams will be competitive. With Matthew Stafford back and with him practicing at full, I think it's promising that the Rams will have better production offensively. They're obviously not going to have Kyron Williams back, but at the very least, they're not going to put up 3 points. If they put up 3 points with Matthew Stafford, then Matthew Stafford is either A, not at 100%, B, off his A game, C, half asleep, D, hung over, E, forgot to put his contact lenses in, F, afraid that he's going to get sacked by Bobby Wagner, his former teammate, and G, all of the above. And then H, he needs to be benched for Carson Wentz. Just to throw that in there as well. Anyway, but the Rams should have better offensive production than they did against the Packers. Like, they're certainly not going to have a repeat performance against Green Bay. That is not going to happen. So, for me, here's the thing. I hate to really say that the Rams are going to lose, but this just looks like a get-right game for Seattle. And Seattle, they know that they're in the thick of the NFC West race. They're right there with San Francisco, who plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I'd be surprised if they lost that one. But for Seattle against the Rams, I really want to say the Rams have a fighting chance, but I just think the Rams are they're just going to fall short. They're going to keep it competitive, but I got the Seahawks winning. Oh, Marcus Loscrape popped into the chat room. I got the Seahawks winning, and I'm sorry to all Niners fans that have to listen to that part. What's a good score for the Seahawks beating the Rams? Let's say they win 27-24 off of a walk-off field goal from Jason Myers. I know Rams fans and Niners fans don't want to hear that, but I just think that the Rams just don't have the firepower to keep up with the Seahawks. And even though Geno Smith is their quarterback, I still think that the Seahawks have a little bit more firepower in the shed than the Rams do. And honestly, the Rams offensive line is just straight up boo-boo keys. It just straight up stinks. It's straight up like last year. So I just don't see how the Rams beat the Seahawks twice. Lightning does not strike twice, and the Rams are not going to get lucky against the Seahawks a second time. I know week 1 was a thing, but that was just week 1. nobody had any idea what to expect from Seattle, and nobody had any idea what to expect from the Rams and what the heck came out of that tunnel from the Rams. But the Rams are not beating the Seahawks. I have the Rams losing in a highly competitive game, but it'll be very exciting. I think it'll be extremely exciting. I hope that the Rams keep it close. I think it'll be entertaining at the very least. So Drewski says that the Rams defense has had its problems as well. But yeah, and I agree. Their defense is so young. That's another problem. The defense is so young, and that they really lack takeaways. That's the big problem with them. Their defense is so young. Aaron Donald just cannot be Mr. Everything. And it sucks because I think he is carrying this team defensively. And I wish he could do everything, but he can't. And Drewski says, but a week 1 road victory is big though for this type of game. And I agree, but it's also big because the Seahawks are going to have that in the back of their mind, thinking they beat us in week 1. Well, we're going to make sure that does not happen again. And the interesting thing is that the Rams didn't have Cooper Kupp that game. Now they do have Cooper Kupp, and they have Puka Nacua, and they will have Matthew Stafford. Knock on wood. So here's hoping that the Rams can actually make me eat some crow. But I just think this is a game the Seahawks will sneak away with on a walk-off field goal. I mean, the Chargers got walked off in terms of a field goal last week. Now I think it's the Rams' turn to get walked off in terms of a field goal. I don't want that to happen to the Rams, but I just feel that the Seahawks just have just a tad bit more firepower. And if I'm wrong, then I will gladly eat my crow. And I'm 95% certain Niners fans are rooting for the Rams. Go figure. Alright, but that is going to do it for some NFL. Let's talk about some college football. As, like I said, every college Division I football team from Southern California lost. And it was not fun, as USC laid a goose egg against the Oregon Ducks, losing 36-27, as USC is no longer ranked. Yeah, they went from aspirations of possibly make it to the championship game to no longer ranked, and now they're not going to be partaking in the Pac-12 championship game, as with the loss against Oregon, that eliminates them from Pac-12 championship contention. Sorry, USC fans. It's not that would have been a great consolation prize either. And even if they won the Pac-12 championship, it wouldn't have done anything, just because that wouldn't have gotten them to the national championship. It would have been a great consolation prize, yes, but that's no silver lining. The committee would not have put them in. So, for USC, it was just straight up disappointing. I understand this was the first game without Alex Grinch, their defensive coordinator. But I will say this, at least USC didn't give up 50 points. They gave up 36. But here's the problem. They gave up 4 touchdowns and over 400 passing yards to Bo Nix. What is going on with you, USC? Why are you the way that you are? In facts, Drewski, Grinch being fired was done way too late. Yeah, Bo Nix outdueled Caleb Williams, sadly enough, as Caleb Williams only had 291 passing yards. He had 1 passing touchdown. Well, like I said, Nix had 4 passing touchdowns. He had 412 passing yards. But Oregon is a contender, while USC sadly is a pretender. And USC is basically going to the freaking Cheez-It Bowl. Or the We Do Not Give a Crap Bowl. Or the Raiders Toilet Bowl. Playing at Allegiant Stadium. Sponsored by John Gruden and Josh McDaniels' leftovers. Sorry to all the Raiders fans out there. No offense, of course. Anyway, so USC, their next matchup and their final matchup is against UCLA, which is perfect segue to go into this abomination of a matchup. UCLA, what in God's name is this? What? You lost to Arizona State. Arizona State. What did I say last week? If you lost to Arizona State, we are going to have problems. Arizona State had 14 players missing, and they were missing 5 offensive linemen, and you lost to one of the worst Pac-12 teams in the conference. This is disgusting. Disgusting. I get it. You didn't have Ethan Garbers. You didn't have the other quarterback. You were starting Colin Schlee. You were starting Chase Griffin. And you didn't have Ethan, and you didn't have Dante Moore. And you were starting, and like I said, you were starting Chase Griffin and Colin Schlee. Colin Schlee was your major quarterback. But you lost 17-7 against Arizona State. This is just unacceptable. You want to know what's even more unacceptable? You had more yards than them, 300 to 250, and they dominated you in possession. They almost had 37 minutes of possession to your little over 23 minutes. And you want to know what's even worse? You had almost 100 yards in penalties. You had 9 penalties altogether. You were 0 for 4 on 4th down. You were 3 for 11 on 3rd down. You had less first downs than they did. It's any wonder Chip Kelly's about to get the boot. And you wonder why people are saying Chip Kelly's about to get fired after the USC game. It's ridiculous, dude. And look, I get it. Colin Schlee is not the guy. It's either going to be Dante Moore or Ethan Garbers. It's a young year for USC's quarterbacks. But holy crap, you cannot put up 7 points against Arizona State at home. That is just asinine right there. UCLA should be demoted. They should have walked home. They should have been running laps. Straight up sickening, and I'm not even a UCLA fan. And Marcus says, you don't fire Chip Kelly when you're UCLA. And I don't think he's the problem. It's like, well, who are you going to replace him with? You better replace him. I don't think they should fire him, but there are rumors saying that UCLA is going to fire Chip Kelly after the USC game, regardless of whether they win or lose. So I don't know what they're going to do. And with how UCLA is transitioning to the Big Ten and how there are other jobs happening right now, I just don't understand how UCLA is going to survive in that Big Ten. I don't know how USC is going to survive in the Big Ten. But UCLA next year is going to be a nightmare when they enter that Big Ten. Jen B says, I hear Jim Harbaugh may be available. Well, does he want to go to UCLA? I think that may be a major downgrade going from Michigan all the way down to UCLA. I think he'd rather go to the NFL than go to the abomination that is UCLA. But, oh my God. I just can't believe UCLA lost to Arizona State. And yeah, Marcus, ASU is trash. And Marcus says they should hire Chip Kelly if UCLA fires him. That would be the ultimate irony. And then watch Arizona State just have the greatest turnaround in all of college football history. So, as I mentioned, USC and UCLA are playing one another this week. And at this point, if Ethan Garbers and Dante Moore aren't playing, UCLA might as well just forfeit. They might as well just not show up, because even though USC straight up stinks, they're not stinking that bad. And if USC finds some way to make Colin Schlee, no offense to the kid, or Chase Griffin look like John Elway or Tom Brady, then USC needs to shut the season down for good and just prepare for next year. Because that would be unacceptable. And if they somehow lose next week as a USC, and this is coming from a USC guy, and this is no offense to UCLA, but if USC finds some way to lose to UCLA, then USC needs to shut everything down. They need to just throw away their bowl eligibility, just lock it up, just prepare for next year, and just stop. But as for USC UCLA, I got the Trojans winning. There's no way in heck USC loses this one. The only way USC loses is if Caleb Williams has the worst game of his life. But Caleb Williams knows that this could be the last game he could have as a USC Trojan, if he does decide to go pro. But I got USC winning. They're only 6-point favorites against UCLA. I got USC winning, let's say, 42-25. Actually, 42-28. That sounds respectable. I think UCLA gets a few garbage time touchdowns here and there, but I think USC keeps the bell for another year, and everyone in USC land goes home happy. But I promise you, if USC loses this one, I think USC fans are going to be wanting carnage. And I can assure you that Caleb Williams will not be repeating as Heisman. I mean, I don't think he will be repeating as Heisman. Sad to say. I think that's going to either go to Michael Penix, probably, or someone of that sort. And I hate to say it, but I just don't think Caleb Williams is on the level of Heisman. And it's not all his fault. The dude just hasn't been on the level that he was last year. But it is what it is. Alright, but that is enough of USC UCLA. There was another team from Southern California that disappointed just as much as UCLA and USC, and that was San Diego State, as they lost a tough one to Colorado State, losing 22-19. As well, this loss was big because San Diego, in losing this game, San Diego State is not going to be bowl game eligible. I don't remember the last time San Diego State became ineligible for a bowl game, but well, that just summarizes San Diego State's season in a nutshell. I mean, it was bad enough they lost to a winless Nevada team, 6-0, and got shut out. But now they lost to Colorado State. I'm just wondering, are they going to win another game anytime soon? I don't even know if they'll win another game. I think they could go winless the rest of the way, because their next opponent is San Jose State, and then lastly, their last opponent is Fresno State, which Fresno State is basically the best team in the conference, and I just don't know if San Diego State wins another game going forward. And the interesting thing is this. There was news that just came out, I think it was earlier this week, that Brady Hoke is stepping down from his position as head coach, or he is retiring after this year. So it's a little bittersweet hearing that news. Now, I've been critical of Brady Hoke in the coaching staff. And I think San Diego State fans are a little bittersweet of this news. They're probably happy saying, oh my God, we're free from Brady Hoke. But at the same time, they're saying, thank you for all that you've done, Coach Hoke. Look, I hate having to basically say, I'm not the type of guy that says, thank God he's leaving, but San Diego State has to hit a home run with this hire. They have to hit a home run. They have to hire a Lincoln Riley type of coach. If they miss on this hire, then they may miss out on big-time recruits, or their recruits may decommit or transfer. Because you went from Rocky Long to Brady Hoke, and now you have the chance to have dubious immortality in terms of having a really good head coach and possibly stealing recruits from the likes of USC and UCLA. Not that I don't think San Diego State is going to do that. I think USC is still the juggernaut in terms of Southern California recruits. And don't come at my throat when it comes to that, USC fans. But San Diego State has a chance to really hit a home run in terms of hiring a big-time coach in terms of college football. And you have to have a big-time hire in terms of your head coach. Because if you don't, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. And not just for next year, but for the future. Because no future college football player is going to want to play for a team that's never heard of a coach or a whatchamacallit, a no-name coach or a coordinator that they've never even heard of. Sorry, I'm blanking on my words here, but they're not going to want to play for a coordinator that they've never heard of or a coach that they've never heard of. They got to get a big-time hire here. Heck, maybe even try to get Rocky Long back. I don't know. Just get some sort of big-time hire here. Just don't hire Urban Meyer. If they hire Urban Meyer, I think that'd be the worst thing for them. If they hire Urban Meyer, then that might be the most San Diego State thing that they could do. But football. But I would maybe, if I were San Diego State, maybe I'd shoot for David Shaw. I know that sounds like a retread, but maybe David Shaw would be a good idea. I know what people are saying. You're dumb for thinking that. Retread hires are stupid. Well, David Shaw wasn't a bad coach. He just was in a bad situation because every team in the Pac-12 kept getting better. USC was getting better and better. UCLA was getting better and better. Oregon was getting better and better. Washington better and better. Oregon State better and better. You get what I'm trying to say? The Pac-12 was a juggernaut. If he goes to a smaller conference, then he can build San Diego State from the ground up. I mean, Boise State just dismissed their coach, or they're about to dismiss their coach. San Diego State has the chance to swoop in and get a good coach. So why not get David Shaw? I think that could be a good idea. I mean, maybe he quits his job with I think he's like on NFL Network or something. I'm not entirely sure, but all in all, I think it would be a good idea. That's just my opinion. I don't know what he wants to do, but he didn't really get fired. He just resigned. And he actually is a San Diego native. He was born in San Diego, so food for thought right there. Maybe he does go to San Diego State. I mean, again, he is currently with the NFL Network, as he's currently working the 2023 football season. So Marcus says Jimmy isn't going anywhere. Okay, he's referring to Jim Harbaugh. Well, I would not expect Jim Harbaugh to go to San Diego State. I'm putting my money on David Shaw going to San Diego State. So there's that right there. All right, but as for San Diego State, they play San Jose State. Look, I'm not going to expect San Diego State to win at this point. Do I even have to make a prediction for San Diego State against San Jose State? Like, San Diego State can't even win the conference. Like, they're dead last. San Diego State football is so bad. They're dead last. They are the worst team in the conference. They're 1-5, tied with University of New Mexico. I refuse to predict anymore. Anyway, I just hope San Diego State gives San Jose State a good matchup. I'm not predicting that matchup. Y'all can't make me. Anyway, that's going to do it for San Diego State versus San Diego State football. It's just too painful to talk about. I just can't do it. Anyway, next up, we have San Diego State football's long-lost stepbrother, San Diego, in the FCS, as they are coming off of a tough overtime loss to St. Thomas of Minnesota, as they lost at home in overtime, losing 20-14. That sounds like the most San Diego way to lose a game, losing in overtime. As the Toreros close out the season against Stetson. No, not Stetson Bennett, Stetson. The Hatters? I think that's their mascot's name. I know they have a good beach volleyball team. Anyway, so San Diego, look, they're both 3-7, and it's a road game. I hope the Toreros just end the season off with a win. I hope we get good, clean football, and I hope the Toreros just send their seniors and send all the players off with the win. Meanwhile, for Cal Poly, they close out their regular season, or they close out the season altogether against Weber. Larry B pronounced it Weber State. It's Weber State on Saturday at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The Mustangs are coming off of a tough 41-30 loss against Sacramento State. Weber State is 5-5, while Cal Poly is 3-7. Again, I'm hoping Cal Poly just like San Diego, I hope Cal Poly does end the season off with a win, and hopefully they do send their seniors off on a high note, especially since that's most likely their senior night. If they didn't have their senior night then they probably had it against Northern Colorado. Regardless, I hope Cal Poly does end the season off with a win. And to all the SoCal teams, I know except for like UCLA, USC, because no matter what happens, there's going to be a team winning that matchup. Please find a way to win. I know y'all are trying to do your best, but please try to represent SoCal well. I know it's tough, and I know y'all are trying your best, but please just try to win. We're all rooting for you, or at least I'm rooting for you. Anyway, that's going to do it for the football portion of this show. All right, let us go on into some college. Let's go to some college basketball. So, in terms of college basketball on the men's side, we had USC getting upset on, I think it was Tuesday, as UC Irvine managed to upset the Trojans 70-60 at the Galen Center. So y'all are probably wondering, well, how did USC lose to UC Irvine? Doesn't the Trojans always own the Big West Conference teams? Well, yes. However, USC was down 3 of their stars. They didn't have Boogie Ellis, Kobe Johnson, and I think they didn't have Isaiah Collier. Either way, they were without 3 starters, and it's tough to win when you don't have your entire starters. And they did have Isaiah Collier, who actually led the way with 23 points. But yeah, they didn't have a majority of their players, and it doesn't help when you're down a majority of your players. Meanwhile, when you're USC and your head coach loves it when USC loses, because I actually do know Russell Turner, and I did when one of his former players was getting his jersey retired at the high school that he attended. He was checking the Pac-12 championship football scores last year, and I do remember Russell Turner saying, "I love it when USC loses," and I'm like, "Don't say anything, Teran. Don't show your bias." And surely enough, UC Irvine beats USC. So I bet you Russell Turner had this match circled. And when he saw that USC had 3 starters out, it just did not. It just was a boat race. USC was just, they were down 3 at halftime, and they never had a chance. They just never had a chance. And it sucks, but you gotta give credit to UC Irvine. They always are a good opponent. So that's that for USC, as USC is back at it on Sunday when they host Brown. And then Thursday, USC heads down to San Diego for the San Diego Invitational against Seton Hall. So hopefully for USC, they can get up off the mat. While for UC Irvine, they are back in action Friday when they host Occidental College. That is actually an NCAA Division II school. I want to say it's Division II or Division III school. And then Tuesday, UC Irvine plays Pepperdine and Toledo, as well as Rice, in the Ball Dogs Classic. So there's that right there. So hopefully for USC's sake, they can get up off the mat and they can get back on track. As for UCLA, last Friday, they took down Lafayette 68-50, and then Wednesday they took down Long Island 78-58. As this upcoming Monday, UCLA is hitting the road to the Big Island to take on number 4 Marquette in the All-State Maui Invitational. I'm willing to bet all the money in the world that the UCLA Marquette matchup will have Bill Walton on the call. I'm really willing to bet that that's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. And then as for San Diego State, they actually played Long Beach State on Tuesday, my alma mater, and they wound up beating Long Beach State 88-76. They actually lost to BYU, which actually knocked them out of the top 25, which made me sad face. BYU beat them 74-65. Now, BYU is a good opponent. I will say this, BYU is actually underrated in my opinion. Y'all are probably going to say, I'm smoking crack, stop. But I will say this, BYU is not to be slept on, so don't sleep on those Cougars in the Big 12. But San Diego State beat Long Beach State 88-76 as San Diego State and St. Mary's face one another this Friday in the Continental Tire main event on Friday. And then Saturday, San Diego State and Cal will face each other in the SoCal Showcase at JSerra High School. If I wasn't busy at the Big West Conference tournament in women's volleyball, I would so go to that. But I can't. Anyway, but that's going to do it for San Diego State. I guess I'll talk a little about Long Beach State because they actually had a pretty good win as they beat DePaul last Saturday 77-73. And apparently that was a buy-in game as I don't know how, but DePaul was 0-2. I don't know how DePaul lost, but apparently someone said, I don't know who this account was, but someone said DePaul lost a buy-in game to Long Beach State, the epitome of terrible. And I'm like, Long Beach State's pretty good. I'm not sure that's a buy-in game. So you call Long Beach State a buy-in game, I call that Long Beach State actually being pretty decent. So don't you dare say that about Long Beach State, mister. But I probably would have gotten chewed out by DePaul fans and college basketball fans. Anyway, so Long Beach State, their next matchup is actually going to be a real tough one as Long Beach State heads down to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. Oh boy. God, Long Beach State really did themselves a number in terms of scheduling. They scheduled San Diego State, DePaul, Portland. They got Illinois State. Well, Illinois State's not that great, but Montana State, Sacramento State, USC. Goodness gracious. They must be adamant on possibly making the NCAA tournament. Though they better they better come away with some wins. If they beat Michigan, then boy howdy, they better throw the parade. Or if they beat USC, they better throw the parade. Anyway, in terms of the Big West, UC San Diego is undefeated. If you had that on your bingo card, then bully for you. As who have the Tritons beaten? They beat Denver 95-87. They beat in their season opener. They beat San Diego 69-63, and they beat Laverne, unsurprisingly, 116-57. As UC San Diego is one of the few undefeated teams in the nation. Yeah, go figure. As the Tritons' next matchup is against Navy on Saturday. So that's that for some NCAA men's basketball. Jumping over to some NCAA women's basketball. USC's women's basketball team actually jumped to number 10 after their huge win over Ohio State last week, which I thought was very impressive. And honestly, it's no surprise. And they also beat Lemoy 93-42, which is no surprise, as USC takes on Seton Hall in the Baja Mar Pink Flamingo Championship this upcoming Monday. And they also play Penn State in the same little tournament thingy, which I think should be a little bit of a fun little matchup right there. And it was actually Lemoyne, not Lemoyne. Lemoyne. And USC also beat Florida Gulf Coast last Friday, 67-50 or 67-51. Yeah. So good job to USC. They're really getting the job done. And looking at USC's schedule, they also got San Diego, UC Riverside, Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State. So not really the most splash-worthy games, as they don't get anything big time until they get into Pac-12 play, which kind of makes me wonder, will USC be ready when they play UCLA at Pauley Pavilion? That's kind of concerning. I mean, San Diego isn't a bad opponent, but Riverside and Fullerton, Long Beach State, I don't know. Long Beach State just lost one of their better players this year, so I'm a little, I don't know. Maybe something USC's got to do now that they have a better team, or they're going to have a better team going into the near future, is they got to learn to not schedule locally. They got to learn to schedule nationally, schedule some of the better teams. Just my opinion. All right, and speaking of UCLA, unfortunately for the Pac-12, Utah lost, which makes me sad face because they lost to Baylor in the preseason WNIT. Great job, Utah. Because of that loss, the Pac-12 is no longer undefeated in women's basketball. Way to represent the conference, Utes. Gosh dang it. Okay, as for UCLA, they stomped all over Bellarmine last Sunday, 113-64, while they took care of UC Riverside last Thursday, 90-52. UCLA takes on Princeton this Friday in the Battle of Unbeatens. And then next Friday, UCLA takes on number 8 UConn in the Cayman Islands Classic. So UCLA, I did not know this, but Princeton actually has some Southern California players' connections, which I think is pretty cool right there. But I'm pretty sure UCLA is going to win that one. And then to close out the NCAA Women's Volleyball College, or the NCAA College Volleyball Talk, we had California Baptist taking down Long Beach State in the Battle of Unbeatens of 2-0s, early unbeatens, as the Lady Lancers took down the Beach 82-71, as Larry B's alma mater took down my alma mater. Go figure. As, in case you all are wondering, the Lady Lancers, or CBU, they are the reigning CIT champions, which is still, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's still good, it's still hardware, as the Lancers are back at it this Saturday as they host UTEP, and then next Wednesday they host Portland, and then they surprisingly start off conference play against Southern Utah on the road. So interesting that California Baptist starts off conference play against Southern Utah, unless I'm mistaken. Is it Southern Utah? Yeah, Southern Utah. Anyway, but yeah, California Baptist, they're 3-0, which is pretty cool. And then as for Long Beach State in the Big West Conference, there are no undefeated teams in the Big West Conference. This could be an interesting year in the Big West Conference, as for the time being, CSUN is undefeated. The Beach is CSUN is 2-1. Long Beach State is 2-1, while Riverside and the Bakersfield have yet to win a conference game, or have yet to win a match. All right, but that is that for the college basketball roundup. Let's take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we got to discuss a little UC Irvine women's soccer, and we also have to discuss some NBA action, and then we'll get on into the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome to AZ Sports Daily. I'm your host, Kieran Daly, bringing the heat to Arizona sports. There's no discrimination here. We're going to talk about every sports team, professional and college. The show is all about you, the listener. I'm here to entertain you. Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? It's going to be fun, high energy. You may not agree with what I say. That's okay. Let me hear you. Let's talk about it. Join me every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on AZ Sports Daily. That's AZ Sports, D-A-L-E-Y, and at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kennedy Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drosky, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Sorry about the long little break right there. Just had to take care of some business, but we are back. As just gotta remind you all that I will be on Big Cheese Sports with Bernie Bango on Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Central Time on this upcoming Sunday to discuss the Chargers-Packers game with Bernie. I'm sure it's going to be a fun little matchup. But without any further delay, let's get on into segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So we have to discuss this big little topic right here. So what is it about UC Irvine women's soccer that makes them so special? Well, it seems like no matter what happens in round 1, they always seem to pull off some sort of upset. And it's just them. It's not Long Beach State. It's not Cal State Fullerton. It's not Cal Poly. It's not UC San Diego. It's not Hawaii. It's UC Irvine. They always find a way to pull off an upset. Well, this was the case this year. Last year, they pulled off the upset against USC. This year, UC Irvine, and I think the year before, UC Irvine upset UCLA. Well, let's just say history repeated itself for a third straight year. As UC Irvine women's soccer drew UCLA in the first round of the NCAA women's soccer tournament. Now, keep in mind, the Bruins are the reigning NCAA women's soccer champions. So, the Lady Anteaters had a very tough challenge on their hands. It was a very big uphill climb, but the Anteaters were able to pull out the win as they took down the defending national champions in the first round. And honestly, I just don't understand how they were able to do it. It's just, they took them down 1-0. And this Friday, being tomorrow, they take on Gonzaga in the second round. And I'm just downright impressed as they will be playing in Nebraska. So it seems like it's just every time the Lady Anteaters in women's soccer just find a way to pull off an amazing upset in women's soccer. So just outstanding, and major hats off to UC Irvine women's soccer to defeat UCLA. So great job to UC Irvine women's soccer as Alyssa Moore had the go-ahead goal in the 86th minute. So it took quite a bit of time, but the Lady Anteaters got the goal in the 86th minute to give them the 1-0 lead, which eventually was the final score. For UCLA women's soccer, it's a tough loss. There's no other way to put it. And it's been that way. I mean, USC was the victim last year. UCLA was the victim 2 years ago. So there's no other way to dance around it. It's never easy to lose in the first round, especially to UC Irvine, who is a team that just is a giant killer. So to see their reign come to an end just really sucks. But it is what it is, and sometimes that's just how sports go, and that's just the way the ball bounces. But for UC Irvine women's soccer, that's just how they are, and it does not matter if you play some of your best soccer in the regular season. All that matters is you play your best soccer in the postseason, and if you get that one goal and you prevent the other team from scoring, then basically you have the upper hand and you win the game. And honestly, it's just a beautiful thing if you're UC Irvine women's soccer, and it's just downright incredible. And then USC also advanced to the second round with a win over GCU, as they wound up winning 1-0, which was downright impressive, as they play BYU, as they look to clinch the number 1 seed, as they shut out BYU, as it was the 10th clean sheet of the year, aka the 10th shutout of the year, which is the most by a USC squad since 2019. So that's quite impressive right there. So USC plays BYU in Provo, which is not going to be an easy game, as Izzy Kimberly had the go-ahead goal in the 66th minute, and it was off of looked like it was a penalty kick, and she forced the goalie to go left when she kicked the ball right. So that's a money goal right there. That's just filthy right there. Ugh. She just made that goalie go left when that ball just went straight as an arrow. Anyway, but that is how USC advanced. This is clearly not what UCLA fans want to hear, and I'm sorry to UCLA fans, but that's just how it is sometimes. I'll give you this, UCLA fans, at least for your men's water polo team is still undefeated, and they beat USC last weekend in overtime. And you also got the number 1 recruit in the nation, being Ryder Dodd, as he flipped his commitment from USC to UCLA, which man, that's got to be amazing if you're a UCLA men's water polo fan or UCLA water polo fan in general, as you get both Ryder and I think his brother's name is Galen Dodd, as Ryder just helped the U.S. men's water polo team qualify for the Olympics. And their current team is undefeated as they just swept the major MPSF award. So UCLA is just straight up taking over in terms of men's water polo. All right, but that's enough little college potpourri right there. I just went from women's soccer all the way to men's water polo. And sorry, that was just me accidentally clicking on the NFL right there. We don't care about Ravens, Bengals. That's not SoCal. Come on. Anyway, so let's jump on over to some, well, I guess for those that are curious about the Bengals-Ravens, the Bengals are winning 10-7 as the Bengals just scored a touchdown. For those that are curious. Anyway, so jumping on over to the NBA. All right, so for the Lakers, here's the thing about the Lakers. They are so hot and cold, and they were doing so great at home until last night happened, as they lost to the Kings 125-110. The previous night, they had an in-season tournament win, and that is going to take some getting used to, as they just stomped all over the Grizzlies, 134-107. It looked like they were playing them in the playoffs again, as the Lakers just made a whopping 22 three-pointers, but against the Kings, they just looked like they used up all their three-pointers. As I basically said to Davidson Crooks, one of the hosts of Fast Break, I said the Lakers basically used up all their three-pointers from the night prior. And then on Sunday, the Lakers beat the Portland Trailblazers 116-110 at the Crypto.com Arena. And then Friday, the Lakers edged the Phoenix Suns in a in-season tournament group play matchup, 122-119, which I think is a good win, actually. And I gotta give a little call out to Kieran Daly, the host of AZ Sports Daily. I saw you posting a little funny picture of the Lakers saying beat LA. Well, LA ain't gonna get beat by y'all. What is that? Two times the Lakers have beaten y'all this year. Y'all ain't so uppity. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's twice that the Lakers have beaten the Suns this year. So y'all ain't so uppity this time around. Sorry. No love lost, though, when it comes to Kieran Daly and I. Anyway, so for the Lakers, they are back at it this Friday as they hit the road to the Emerald City to play the Portland Trailblazers in another in-season tournament group play matchup at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Then Sunday, the Lakers are back in the Crypto.com Arena to take on the Houston Rockets at 6:30 p.m. Then Tuesday, the Lakers host the Utah Jazz in another in-season tournament matchup. And then Wednesday, the Lakers host the Dallas Mavericks. Then Saturday, the Lakers head down to the land to take on the Cavaliers, which is basically the last matchup we'll get until further notice. So the Lakers are solid. They're 6-6. At least they've improved from the last time I talked about them. I can't say the same for the Clippers. And oh my God, their last matchup. Okay, let's just say their last matchup was on Tuesday, and well, I was having dinner with my mom, and we were just flipping through channels, and she actually recommended the Clippers and the Nuggets. And the Clippers were winning at the time when she flipped on the Clippers Nuggets. Well, that was good, right? Well, let's just say I think we would have been better off not watching the remainder of that game because unfortunately the Nuggets wound up coming back. And even though the Clippers made it interesting because the Clippers actually allowed the Nuggets to catch fire, the Clippers eventually wound up only losing by 3. Interestingly enough, I forget who shot the 3 to try to tie the game. I think it was like Russell Westbrook. The ball got caught beneath the rim and the backboard, which forced a wedgie. Yeah, go figure. Kevin Harlan calls the game. Clippers collapse with James Harden yet again. the ball gets caught beneath the rim and the backboard, which forces a wedgie. Yeah, go figure. So, and then eventually the Nuggets win the jump ball and the Clippers lose. And Drewski actually asked, who do you feel will have a better season, Lakers or Clippers? Well, if this keeps up, I want to say the Lakers will have a better season. If the Lakers stay healthy, Lakers. I mean, on paper, the Lakers will have a better season. But if the Clippers can stay healthy and Kawhi puts up monster numbers, if James Harden puts up monster numbers, if Russell Westbrook puts up good numbers, if Paul George puts up monster numbers and whatnot, I think the Clippers could sneak by the Lakers in terms of having a better season. But I think the Lakers will have a better season. So, the other games that the Clippers had this past week, on Sunday, the Clippers had the most disappointing loss ever as they lost to the then one-win Grizzlies, 105-101. That's just disappointing, dude. You can't lose on your so-called home floor to the Grizzlies. It's no wonder the Clippers are a joke. One-win lost to the one-win Grizzlies. Go figure. And then the Clippers, Drewski's going to like this one. The Mavericks stomped all over the Clippers in group play, in in-season group play matchup, 144-126. And Clippers, why are you the way that you are? The Clippers have not won a game with James Harden, and they're 0-5 with James Harden. And I guess you could say 0-6 if you include the Laker game, but James Harden did not arrive by the time that game occurred. But yeah, that's just straight up disgusting right there. So Clippers have now lost 6 in a row, so the Clippers better figure out their you-know-what. It doesn't get easier because the Clippers have I shouldn't say that, but the last match of their tough stretch is tomorrow when they host the Houston Rockets. Now, Houston is improved as James Harden will face his old team, but thankfully it won't be at I forget what the Houston's gymnasium is called. It's not called the Toyota Center, I'm fairly certain, but it's going to be at the Crypto.com Arena. And then the Clippers head down to San Antonio for a 2-game stretch in San Antonio, as Monday they'll take on the Spurs, and then Wednesday they'll take on the Spurs, which should be wins right there, unless, of course, the Spurs allow Victor Wembanyama to go off. And if that happens, then the really need to reevaluate their roster. Drewski added that Luka had 44 points in 32 minutes. Yeah, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. Luka Doncic had 44 points in 42 minutes in the win over the Clippers. So, that's disgusting right there. In 32 minutes, mind you. That's just bad, dude. So, ouch. And the next Friday, the Clippers host the Pelicans in a group play matchup. And then next Saturday, the Clippers host the Mavericks in a not-so-in-season tournament matchup. So, yeah. It looks like the Clippers should get their first win with James Harden against the Spurs. If they can't, then when are they going to get their first win? Against the Warriors? I mean, with Steph Curry out, maybe. Against the Trailblazers? Possibly. But still, this is concerning for the Clippers. And I'm not even a Clippers fan. I mean, I stand by the Clippers, but that's just bad, dude. Where's the sense of urgency, dude? Is Ty Lue going to be another scapegoat for this team? I hope not. But I wouldn't put it past it. Anyway, so that's that for the NBA portion of the show. Jumping on over to some MLS. So we don't have much MLS to discuss, except LAFC has found out who their opponent's going to be. It's going to be the Seattle Sounders, and oh baby, that's going to be a very good matchup. It's going to be a great series, as Game 1 is going to be, well, I don't know if it's going to be if it's going to be a series, but The matchup against the Seattle Sounders is going to be on Sunday at 6:30 against the Sounders. It's going to be in Seattle just because Seattle has the higher seed. I'm really looking forward to that just because LAFC and Seattle have a nice little rivalry right there. They always have a very underrated rivalry. It's always second to El Tráfico when it comes to the Galaxy and LAFC. But for LAFC Seattle, I would not be surprised if we got yellow cards issued or red cards issued or a little scuffles here or there. But I really am looking forward to the Western Conference semifinals between Seattle and LAFC. Drewski, I'm sorry I have to mention this to you, but Seattle did take down Dallas FC. I was hoping that Seattle wouldn't beat Dallas, but it is what it is, brother, and I'm sorry. But they did have a great season. But that is going to do it for the MLS portion of the show. It looks like I have tackled practically everything regarding everything sports-wise. So I think y'all know what time it is. I think it is time for the Dum Dum of the Week. And yes, it is that time for Dum Dum of the Week. And Dum Dum of the Week is an award I like to give out to an organization or a person that does something dumb or says something dumb that basically is unacceptable. And nobody is safe from this award, and basically whoever says something or does something dumb is basically going to be on this little segment. So I'm actually going to switch it up in terms of Dum Dum of the Week. So when it comes to... I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I have to give a shout out to one of our iSports Sports Radio hosts, Ice Ray. His Twitter is @ArkEshRay. It's @ArkEshrayyyy. So he actually quote tweeted this post from Discussing Film, and this post said, Snoop Dogg announces that he has quit smoking. And Snoop Dogg said, I'm going to do my best Snoop Dogg voice. After much consideration and conversation with my family, I decided to give up smoke. Please respect my privacy at this time. Yeah, he really did say, I've decided to give up smoke. I've decided to give up smoke. Smoke. First and foremost, smoke? You could have just said smoking. But smoke? Okay, well, first and foremost, Snoop Dogg, I really gotta give you a tip of the cap. I will just say, thank you for giving up smoking, and I gotta give you the applause button on that. Oh, that's not the applause button. This is the applause button. As, honestly, it's not easy to give up smoking, and I've never smoked before, and good on me for not doing that, and I've had friends that have smoked, and it's not easy to smoke, and honestly, it's not good. I could just tell you that, but thank you to, David Crooks pops in the chat room, he says, what's good? I'm going over Dum Dum of the Week, but Snoop Dogg announces that he has quit smoking, so first and foremost, great job to Snoop Dogg for giving up on smoking. That's not why I'm giving him Dum Dum of the Week. So this is kind of a throwback Thursday Dum Dum of the Week, because it is Thursday after all. So what I want to know is, I'm glad he gave up smoking, but from what I heard back in his high school days, is back in high school, when he graduated from, I think it was Long Beach Poly. I'm 95% certain it was Long Beach Poly. I will just say, the dude just graduated from Long Beach Poly. And then the dude got busted from, I think, for having possession. I think he got arrested for having possession of marijuana. It was either marijuana or weed. Now, I saw this in terms of facts. This was kind of a Snoop Dogg fun fact right there. So So yeah, and Drewski says Seattle took out Dallas FC. So yeah, and Patty says that she works at the New York Smokers Quinteen. So good for Snoop. So it's good that. But I want to know how did he get busted for marijuana possession? And I just don't understand how you get in trouble for that. So what? And this is a message to people who graduate. Please don't be stupid and graduate and then say, "Oh, I'm going to smoke some marijuana or weed and anything of that sort." So, look, I understand back in the day, weed and smoking and everything of that sort was a problem. But I will just say, you can't get in trouble after graduating. Like, you can't just get arrested after you graduate. You have to be some kind of stupid after you graduate. And I understand, again, this is back in the day, and I don't know how old Snoop Dogg was back in his day, and I don't know the year Snoop Dogg graduated, a.k.a. Calvin Broadus, but you got to be pretty darn slick in order to get caught with marijuana. So, look, the moral of the story is don't get caught with weed or marijuana or anything, or just do what Stephen A. Smith always recommends. Stay off the weed! And I hope Snoop Dogg is true to his word, and I hope he says that he is done with smoking. And I hope he is true to his word. And I like the quote tweet that Ice Ray put. He says, Snoop Dogg quit smoking before Alvin Kamara had a season with 1,000 rushing yards. LMAO. That's pretty funny. That's mean. But he's a Falcons fan, so what did you expect? Anyway, but that's kind of a Throwback Thursday Dum Dum of the Week. I'm not going to play the Dum Dum of the Week sound effect right there, but that is a sound effect. That's a Throwback Thursday flat. That's kind of a Throwback Thursday Dum Dum of the Week right there. But again, just don't graduate and then be in possession of marijuana, because you're going to get caught, and if there is a chance you could get caught, there will be a chance you get caught. So, just don't be like Snoop that graduation. I had to give him a little bit of a quiet laugh. All right, but that's kind of a Throwback Thursday Dum Dum of the Week. Now we got to get on into the main Dum Dum of the Week. And I'm glad my mom is gone, because I got to make a harsh confession. There are certain foods that should not be combined. And I kind of learned that the hard way. So, let me just tell you this. There are foods that should not be combined, and I personally made the boo-boo of combining the wrong food. You know how bagels and cream cheese go together? Bagels, cream cheese, and ham also go together. But you want to know what kind of cream cheese does not go together with ham? Berry cream cheese with ham and bagels. Now, some people have the correct taste buds, so maybe people have the correct taste buds, but honestly, I had a bagel with berry cream cheese and turkey. Maybe it was ham, but I think it was turkey. And I took a bite out of it, and let's just say it wasn't that great. If I am grossing anyone out, I'm very, 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 very sorry. But I will just say it's not the best thing ever. Now, I didn't get sick, don't worry, but a bagel with berry cream cheese and turkey is very, 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 very not good. And maybe it's just my taste buds, but it's not the greatest. Those three things should not be together. Turkey meat and strawberry or berry cream cheese should not go together. Bagels by itself with the berry cream cheese should go together. but not with meat. So it just tasted weird. And I totally regretted it. But you want to know why I bought the berry cream cheese? Because the grocery store that I work at did not have the grocery store cream cheese that I would normally buy when I buy a bagel with the deli meat. So, unfortunately, I had to either buy regular Philadelphia cream cheese or just mix it up. So, I, being the brilliant professor that I am, bought berry cream cheese instead of the standard Philadelphia cream cheese. And then I decided to pay the price by dishonoring my taste buds by combining a bagel, berry cream cheese, and turkey meat together. So, once again, if I'm grossing anyone out, I do apologize, but I don't recommend it. So, because of my terrible taste buds and my terrible convoluted breakfast idea, I am this week's Dum Dum of the Week for combining a bagel, berry cream cheese, and turkey.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
The moral of the story, stick with regular cream cheese if you want turkey and a bagel. I mean, maybe that's appealing to someone else, and maybe I just didn't have, it's because I didn't toast my bagel, but still, it just was not appealing to me. Alright, now for the final Dum Dum of the Week. Alright, so, you know how assuming things is not good, and making things up is not good, and fake news is not good? So this news just came up on my feed today. And, oh my god, this is probably the most sickening news I've ever seen. Now, I don't know if this is 100% true, but apparently, according to Awful Announcing, Carissa Thompson, yes, everyone's favorite golden girl on the NFL Network, she admits to completely making up NFL sideline reports. Alright, well, I'm first of all disappointing, and she says in the deck head, I didn't want to screw up the report, so I was like, I'm going to make this up. So she says, sideline reporters have a tough job. They're tasked with getting insights from players and coaches who usually don't want to offer up information. Thompson, however, has a trick for sideline reporters. If the coach isn't giving you any useful information to repeat on a broadcast, just make something up. Earlier this week, Thompson joined Barstool's Dan Katz and PFT commentator on Pardon My Take, and during the interview, she explained how to give a sideline report when you have nothing to report. I've said this before. I haven't been fired to saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late and I didn't want to screw up the report. So I was like, I'm going to make this up. Okay. I understand where she's coming at. And thanks, Drewski. Thanks for tuning in as much as you can. Look, I totally understand where she's coming from. You want to improvise as much as you want to. You want to not screw up the broadcast. And you want to get as much information as possible. However, assuming is not the way to go. You want to get the straight facts. And this is why we have PR. This is why PR people exist. And this is why the PR people have the coaches go to the sideline reporter and say, hey, you should go to the sideline reporter and talk to the people and say, hey, what do you need to do in order to make sure you turn this around in the second half or you get the win in the second half? So I don't get why Carissa Thompson had to make up something. Like, that's just not right. And look, I get it. You have to adjust on the fly, but that's just not right, dude. At least talk to an assistant coach or something along those lines. But that's just wrong, dude. That's just poor journalism on that end. And what if a coach actually calls someone out on that. And it's surprising that she hasn't been fired for it. So, hats off to her and all that, but that's just bad journalism, dude. Bad broadcasting, bad sideline reporting. Like, why? Why, Krista Thompson? Why do you got to do this to us? Like, you're kind of one of my favorites. Obviously, I'm an Erin Andrews type of person, and I'm blanking on the girl that is the sideline reporter for whenever Tony Romo and Jim Nantz is does the games on CBS. But still, Krista Thompson, how could you? That's just bad journalism. So it's a miracle she hasn't been fired, and the fact that she has been able to, adjust on the fly without getting in trouble is a miracle. So I gotta give her a tip of the cap, but at the same time, that's kind of breaking journalism rules, and it's just mind-blowing if you ask me. So to Krista Thompson, who basically made up sideline reports, I'm disappointed in you, to say the least. And second of all, that's not how sideline reporting works. You have to go straight to the source, no matter what happens. And to all, stationary broadcasts, like CBS and Fox and ESPN and NBC, y'all gotta do better and, get PR agents to, make sure these sideline reporters don't screw up, just so they don't look like dum-dums. Because if they mess up the broadcast, everything gets messed up. So, all in all, I understand where Krista Thompson is coming from. So, she doesn't get the full dum-dum of the week, but this is why these networks need to hire, PR agents, and they have to, get the perspective from either an assistant coach or a coordinator or the head coach. So, I have to give Krista Thompson the dum-dum of the week, but I also have to give some of these networks dum-dum of the week because they're not supplying these sideline reporters the support they need to help them succeed, to help out the broadcast. So, to Krista Thompson and to the networks, you all get dum-dum of the week for not helping out one another. It's just a bad case of miscommunication all over the place.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
But I still have to give it to Krista Thompson just because it's poor journalism, and it's bad in terms of assumption, and it's just all around just terrible. And it's just sickening. And as someone who works in the journalism field, it just makes me sad that someone would just assume and just make up something. That's not how journalism works. And if you want to be fake news, you just work for Fox News.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Alright, I'm milking my boy right there. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for me to get on out of here. Because I got to get me some dinner, and I got to catch the rest of the Thursday night football game. You dig? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you were listening live, I appreciate you. If you were listening on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Big shout out to Drewski, Patty Backs, Davidson Crooks, Marcus Los Great, and Jen B. that was in the chat room. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you, Jen B. She said, great show, Teran. I really do appreciate you for tuning in. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the week. I might be live next week for SoCal Supreme Sports Show. It all depends on what happens during Thanksgiving. I'm not entirely certain. We shall see. But I can assure you that Set Point will be live. Speaking of Set Point, I will see you all on Saturday at Santiago Canyon College for the CIF State Open Division Final. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace.